The misunderstood message. Commander Sarah Chen stared at the cascade of red warning lights flooding the command center of Horizon Watch, humanity's most advanced deep space monitoring station. The facility hung in the void between Mars and Jupiter, its massive sensor arrays constantly scanning the darkness for any sign of extraterrestrial activity. For 15 years, those sensors had detected nothing but cosmic background radiation and the occasional asteroid. Today, that peaceful silence had been shattered. Status report, Morrison, Chen barked, her voice cutting through the chaos of alarms and shouting technicians. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, the station's communications officer, looked up from his console with sweat beating on his forehead. Commander, we're dealing with something unprecedented. At 0847 hours, our long-range sensors detected a massive signal originating from the Andromeda sector. The transmission punched through our outer perimeter defenses like they were made of paper. Chen felt her blood run cold. The outer perimeter defenses were designed to detect and analyze any approaching object or signal from light years away. For something to penetrate them so easily meant they were dealing with technology far beyond human capabilities. Show me the signal, Chen ordered. Moving to the central display terminal, the main screen flickered to life, showing a complex pattern of mathematical sequences that pulsed with an almost hypnotic rhythm. The data stream was unlike anything in their databases, combining elements of quantum physics, dimensional mathematics, and what appeared to be spatial coordinates. Dr. Webb to the command center immediately, Chen announced over the intercom. If anyone could make sense of this alien transmission, it would be Dr. Marcus Webb. Their xenolinguist and theoretical physicist, Dr. Webb, arrived within minutes, his gray hair disheveled and his eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and terror. For 30 years, he had dreamed of this moment, but the circumstances felt wrong. The signal's ability to bypass their defenses suggested hostile intent rather than peaceful first contact. My God, Webb whispered, settling into his workstation. This is incredibly sophisticated. The mathematical structures are beyond anything we've developed. They're using principles of space-time manipulation that our best physicists can barely comprehend. Morrison pulled up additional data on his secondary screen. Doctor, there's more. The signal isn't just mathematical. It's actively interfacing with our computer systems. Our security protocols are being tested and probed in ways that suggest reconnaissance. Chen paced behind them, her military training kicking into high gear. Are they trying to hack our systems? It's more complex than that, Webb replied, his fingers dancing across his keyboard. The signal is analyzing our technology, our communication methods, even our mathematical principles. It's learning how we think and how we build things. The implications hit Chen like a physical blow. An alien intelligence was studying human technology and thought processes. This wasn't random exploration or peaceful contact. This was preparation for conquest. Morrison, get me Admiral Torres on priority channel, Chen ordered, and activate the automated distress beacon. If this is what I think it is, Earth needs to know immediately. Admiral Rebecca Torres appeared on the communications screen within minutes, her weathered face showing the strain of a career spent preparing for threats that might never come. Today, that preparation would be tested. Report, Commander Torres said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Admiral, we have a code red situation. Unknown alien intelligence has penetrated our defense perimeter using technology far superior to ours. The signal appears to be conducting systematic reconnaissance of our capabilities. Torres leaned forward. How long until we can determine their intentions? Webb looked up from his analysis. Admiral, based on the complexity of the signal and the rate at which it's gathering information, I estimate we have less than 48 hours before they complete their assessment of our defenses. Assessment for what? Torres asked. Invasion, Chen replied grimly. The signal isn't trying to communicate with us. It's cataloging our weaknesses. Across the solar system, alarm bells began ringing as Earth's defense network activated for the first time in its history. The massive orbital defense platforms powered up their weapon systems, while the pride of Earth's fleet, the Starship, Valiant, began preparations for an emergency deployment. Captain David Park received his orders with the cold efficiency that had made him Earth's most decorated military commander. His ship was humanity's most advanced warship, equipped with fusion torpedoes, plasma cannons, and experimental shielding technology. If Earth faced an alien invasion, the Valiant would be their first line of defense. Back on Horizon Watch, Webb continued his frantic analysis of the alien signal. The mathematical patterns were becoming clearer, but their meaning remained elusive. Complex equations cascaded across his screen, each one more sophisticated than the last. Commander, I'm detecting something new, Webb called out. The signal is transmitting star charts, but they're not of our galaxy. These are maps of the Andromeda sector, and they're showing movement patterns. Chen studied the display over Webb's shoulder. Movement patterns of what? Unknown, but massive. The scale suggests objects the size of small moons, moving at significant fractions of light speed. Morrison's console suddenly erupted with new alerts. Commander, we're receiving secondary signals from the same source. Multiple transmissions, all using the same mathematical framework. The main display split into dozens of smaller screens, each showing variations of the original signal. The patterns were similar but not identical, as if multiple sources were broadcasting the same basic message with slight modifications. It's a fleet, Chen realized. We're not dealing with a single ship. There are dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Webb's face went pale as he processed this information. Commander, if these signals represent individual vessels, then we're looking at an invasion force of unprecedented scale. The power requirements alone to transmit across galactic distances suggest technology centuries ahead of ours. The reality of their situation settled over the command center like a shroud. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was not what they had hoped for. Morrison, what's the status of the Valiant? Chen asked. Captain Park reports, ready for deployment in 6 hours. Admiral Torres has authorized full weapons release and ordered them to intercept the alien fleet at maximum range. Webb suddenly straightened at his console. Commander, I'm detecting something else in the signal. There are biological markers embedded in the mathematical sequences. Biological markers. Chen moved closer to his workstation. Population data, genetic information, physiological requirements. It's as if they're cataloging not just our technology, but our biology as well. The implications were terrifying. The aliens weren't just studying human defenses, they were analyzing human biology, possibly for the purpose of developing biological weapons or understanding human vulnerabilities. How many population centers are they analyzing? Chen asked. Webb's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling up projection after projection. All of them, Earth, Mars, colonies, the asteroid mining stations, even the deep space research outposts. They have comprehensive data on every human settlement in the solar system. Morrison looked up from his communications console. Commander, I'm getting reports from other monitoring stations. The signal is being detected across the entire solar system, but it's strongest here at Horizon Watch. Because we're the closest to the source, Chen realized. We're their primary target for intelligence gathering. The alien signal continued its relentless analysis of human civilization, probing deeper into their databases and communication. Networks, every few minutes, new patterns emerged, each one more complex than the last. Asterisk. Doctor, can you determine how long they've been observing us? Chen asked. Webb studied the data streams carefully. Based on the depth of their analysis and the specific information they're targeting, I'd estimate they've been watching us for months, possibly years. This isn't random exploration. They've been planning this for a long time. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. While humanity had been peacefully expanding into space, an alien intelligence had been studying them, learning their strengths and weaknesses, preparing for invasion. Morrison, what's the time to intercept for the Valiant? Captain Park estimates 72 hours to reach the signal's origin point in the Andromeda sector. Chen made her decision. Send a message to Admiral Torres. Tell her we need every available ship. This isn't a first contact situation. This is war. As the hours passed, more details emerged from Webb's analysis. The alien technology was based on principles that human science could barely comprehend. Their ships appeared to manipulate space-time itself, allowing them to travel vast distances and penetrate any known form of defense. Commander Webb said, his voice filled with dread, I've been analyzing their weapon signatures. The energy patterns suggest they have the capability to destroy entire planets. Chen stared at the display showing the alien fleet's projected path. They were heading directly for Earth, and humanity's best defenses might not be enough to stop them. How long do we have? Webb calculated quickly. If they maintain their current speed, they'll reach the outer solar system in approximately 96 hours. Morrison's console chimed with an incoming transmission. Commander, message from Admiral Torres. The Valiant is launching ahead of schedule. Captain Park has requested permission to engage with full force. Chen nodded grimly. Granted. Tell Captain Park that humanity's survival depends on stopping them before they reach Earth. The Valiant departed Earth's orbital shipyard in a blaze of fusion fire, its sleek hull gleaming in the light of the sun. On board, Captain Park and his crew prepared for humanity's first interstellar battle, armed with determination and technology that they hoped would be enough to face an enemy from the stars. As the ship disappeared into the darkness of space, Chen continued to monitor the alien signals from Horizon Watch. The mathematical patterns were becoming more complex, more urgent, as if the aliens were preparing for something significant. Doctor, Chen said quietly, what if we're wrong about their intentions? Webb looked up from his analysis. Commander, all the evidence points to invasion. The reconnaissance, the fleet movements, the biological analysis of our species. What else could it be? Chen stared at the alien signal patterns on her screen. Something deep in her intuition told her they were missing something important, but the evidence was overwhelming. An alien fleet was approaching Earth, and humanity had to be ready to defend itself. The countdown to humanity's first interstellar war had begun. Asterisk the truth, revealed in Human Response Captain David Park stood on the bridge of the UEES, valiant as the massive starship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Andromeda sector. His crew had spent the past 72 hours preparing for battle, But what they found waiting for them was nothing like what they had expected. Tactical report, Park ordered, his eyes scanning the main display. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, his tactical officer, worked frantically at her console. Sir, I'm reading multiple massive structures throughout the system, but they're not showing hostile configurations. In fact, many of them appear to be damaged. Damaged how? Hull breaches, failing. Power systems, debris fields. Sir, these don't look like warships. They look like refugee vessels. Park moved closer to the main display, studying the alien structures that filled the space around them. They were enormous, each one the size of a small city, but they're organic. Curves and desperate energy signatures told a different story than the invasion fleet Earth had expected. Life signs? Park asked. Millions, sir, Kim replied, her voice filled with amazement. But the readings are weak. Whatever these beings are, they're in serious distress. Navigation Officer Tom Hayes looked up from his station. Captain, I'm detecting the same mathematical signal we received at Horizon Watch, but it's much weaker now. It's as if they're running out of power. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's xenobiologist, pushed forward from her station. Captain, requests permission to conduct detailed scans. If there are millions of life forms in distress, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Park nodded. Granted, but keep our weapons ready. This could still be some kind of deception. As Rodriguez worked, a new contact appeared on their sensors. A sleek vessel, clearly different from the massive refugee ships, approached the Valiant with obvious caution. Sir, incoming transmission, Hayes reported. It's using the same mathematical framework, but there are new elements. I think they're trying to communicate. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that took Park's breath away. The creature was tall and graceful, with luminescent skin that shifted through subtle colors. Its large eyes held intelligence and, unmistakably, desperate hope. The being began to speak, its voice melodic but filled with urgency. While the words were incomprehensible, the mathematical symbols that appeared around it were the same ones Earth had been analyzing. Captain, Rodriguez called out, I'm getting biological readings from that being. The physiology is completely different from humans, but the brain activity patterns suggest high intelligence and extreme emotional distress. Back on Horizon Watch, Dr. Webb had been working non-stop to decode the alien transmissions. Suddenly, his analysis software produced a breakthrough that made his blood run cold. Commander Chen, urgent message for Captain Park, Webb shouted across the command center. The mathematical sequences aren't tactical data, they're stellar cartography maps, and they're showing something terrible. Chen rushed to Webb's station. Explain, the patterns we thought were invasion routes are actually evacuation paths. The aliens aren't showing us how to attack planets. They're showing us how to escape from something that's destroying them. Webb's screen displayed a three-dimensional map of the Andromeda sector, with red zones spreading like a plague across star systems. Commander, look at this. These aren't weapon signatures. They're absorption patterns. Something is consuming entire star systems. Morrison, get me Captain Park immediately, Chen ordered. On the bridge of the Valiant, Park received the transmission from Horizon Watch just as the alien being on his screen began displaying more complex symbols. The mathematical patterns now made terrible sense. Dr. Rodriguez, what are you reading from the refugee ships? Sir, they're overcrowded far beyond safe limits. Life support is failing across the entire fleet. They're dying, Captain. Whatever they're running from, it's destroyed their homeworld. The alien being on the screen seemed to understand that the humans were beginning to comprehend their situation. It gestured urgently to the symbols around it, and new images appeared. Massive, dark entities moving through space, consuming stars and leaving only void behind. Asterisk. My God, Park whispered. They're not invaders. They're refugees. Hayes looked up from his navigation console. Captain, long-range sensors are detecting massive gravitational anomalies at the edge of the system. Something big is coming. The main display shifted to show the sensor readings. What they saw defied comprehension. Entities the size of small planets were moving through space, their dark forms seeming to absorb light itself. Where they passed, stars dimmed and died. The Devourers, Park said, remembering the ancient legends from Earth's mythology. They're real. The alien being on the screen nodded vigorously, as if understanding Park's words. It began transmitting new data, technical specifications and energy readings that Rodriguez quickly analyzed. Captain, they're sharing their defensive technologies with us. The mathematical sequences contain instructions for shield modifications and weapon upgrades. Park realized that the aliens hadn't been studying human technology to conquer them. They had been learning human capabilities to see if humanity could help them fight an enemy that had already destroyed their civilization. All hands, battle. Stations, Park announced. We're not facing an invasion force. We're facing something far worse, and these beings need our help. The Devourers entered the system like a plague of darkness, their massive forms blocking out entire star fields. They moved with purpose, heading directly for the refugee fleet and the bright energy signature of the Valiant. Sir, incoming transmission. From the lead Devourer, Hayes reported, his voice shaking. The communication that came through was not mathematical or linguistic. It was pure hunger, a psychic projection of endless consumption that made the entire crew stagger. They're not just eating matter, Rodriguez gasped. They're consuming life force itself. That's why the refugee ships are failing. The Devourers drain the life from entire systems. Park looked at his crew, seeing the same determination that had driven humanity to explore the stars. Then we do what humans do best. We fight impossible odds. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The Valiant's weapons, enhanced with alien technology, struck out at the Devourers, while the refugee ships provided additional firepower. But the enemy was vast and seemingly invincible. Captain, our weapons aren't having any significant effect, Kim reported. The Devourers are absorbing our energy blasts. The alien being on the screen transmitted new data frantically. The mathematical sequences showed a desperate plan that would require perfect coordination between human and alien forces. They want us to link our power systems, Rodriguez translated. If we can synchronize our energy output with theirs, we might be able to create a resonance frequency that disrupts the Devourer's absorption ability. Park made the decision that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Do it. Link our systems with theirs. The next few hours saw the most remarkable display of cooperation in galactic history. Human engineering combined with alien science to create weapons that could hurt the Devourers. The refugees and the Valiant fought side by side, their combined forces slowly pushing back the cosmic predators. Sir, the Devourers are retreating, Kim reported with amazement. Our combined assault is actually working. The alien being on the screen, who they learned was called Elder Zaraketh, spoke in broken but understandable English. Humans ... fight when others flee. Your species ... gives hope. As the Devourers disappeared into the void, defeated but not destroyed, Park looked around his bridge at his crew. They had not only survived humanity's first interstellar encounter, but had proven that cooperation could overcome the darkest threats. Elder Zaraketh Park said to the alien leader, "Your people are welcome on Earth. We have room for refugees, and we could use allies against threats like the Devourers." The refugee fleet, saved from extinction, began the long journey toward Earth. Behind them, the Valiant maintained escort, its crew forever changed by the knowledge that the universe was both more dangerous and more wonderful than they had ever imagined. Back on Horizon Watch, Commander Chen received the final transmission from Captain Park. The aliens hadn't been planning to invade Earth. They had been hoping that humanity's reputation for fighting impossible battles would make them the perfect allies against cosmic threats. "Commander," Morrison said, looking up from his console, "we're receiving new transmissions from across the galaxy. Other species are sending similar distress calls. It seems word has spread about what humans can do." Chen smiled, realizing that humanity had just become the galaxy's emergency response team. They were no longer alone in the universe, and their willingness to help strangers had opened the door to a larger community of civilizations. The misunderstood distress call had become the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, proving that sometimes the most important battles are fought not for conquest, but for compassion.